So after I pulled the skid out of the sled last time, I realized that things were going to get a little bit more expensive than just a simple rear shock rebuild. And actually, it turns out that in itself, at least at the shop that I called, would have been $50 for labor plus $20 for a seal kit, which I'm sure my shock with 9,000 miles on it was going to need. Not to mention the $36 it would have cost to replace all of the bushings in here that are pretty much completely demolished. And I don't know how well you guys got to see this last time, but this does have a bit of oil on it, and besides that, if you want to check to see for sure if there's an issue, you can just give it a squeeze and listen. And if it sounds like you've got nitrogen and oil mixing, well, then your shock needs a rebuild. And it turned out that I could buy a shock that I think would have gone on like a 2016 ZR5000, 7000, maybe 9000 for like 136 bucks. Now, obviously that's quite a bit more than the rebuild cost on this would have been. However, I decided I would kind of like to try to rebuild this myself. And while I could have tried to do that before the season, I didn't really want to be pushed to try to learn something and possibly screw it up and then have my usually short season shortened even more. Turns out the snow that we had that I thought I was going to be able to ride after I got this all back together completely got all melted away by 250-degree days and kind of a ridiculous rainstorm. Gotta love Wisconsin. This is a 1.5-inch shock where this is a 2. Honestly, I have absolutely no idea, nor do I really care that much if this is going to give me any more performance. This isn't really a performance sled, it's more of a touring, warming your butt kind of model. So as long as this gets me down the trail just as well as this did, I'll be happy, and I think it will. This is a Fox brand. This is just an Arctic Cat one, which was probably made by Fox anyway. Don't quote me on that, I have no idea if that's true. So until I get this on the sled and get some miles put on it, I can't recommend it. So don't take this as me telling you that this is gonna work or that you should pick it up. But if you are interested or you later see a video from me saying that this shock did work really well, here's the part number for it. But again, use at your own risk. And if you care, that did come with the bushings and some new lilac nuts. I'm not sure how easy it's going to be to see through the camera, but this thing is a bit oily, so I'm sure it is definitely overdue for a rebuild either way. However, this cap would have needed to have been replaced in order for that to have made any sense at all. And just to replace this cap, $150. So because of that, it was going to be much cheaper to just completely replace the shock. I will be reusing the spring and the little cap on here, also the rubber cap that I think is sitting on the sled behind me there. I got no idea how this is going to make the sled handle, but if you're interested, there is the part number for it. I believe this is off a 2016 ZR5000, so about the same motor weight. Should handle pretty similar to this, I would think. Again, just an Arctic Cat brand part. And like I mentioned earlier, the aluminum axle that this piece rides on was completely destroyed, so I ended up replacing it with the steel option. They did still sell the aluminum one, and they warned you that this is a little bit heavier. I think steel is going to be the way to go in this situation, though I'd rather not have to replace that again. And even though I don't think I will, I figured for, I think, a couple bucks more, this is worth doing. If you agree and you want to pick one up, there is the part number. And in between those two pieces, you need one of these little guys. I'm actually, I guess I can show you the part number on it, but I would not recommend picking one of those up if you're gonna pick this shock up, because it's actually already got one in it. So I think I wasted $5. Oh well, won't be a bad thing to have laying around, I suppose. Next couple things here are just some kind of basic wear parts. These are little grommets that go between the little grabbers that hold on to that front axle bar, whatever you want to call it. There's a part number for that if you're interested. And these guys are, of course, the little channels that the rear springs slide in. And before I pulled the skid out, I was originally going to try to get one more season out of my slide, since it seems like my seasons the last couple years have only been 100 miles long anyway. But I figured since I got the skid pulled out, it's probably a good time to put some new slides on. So if you're interested, these are the Arctic Cat parts that I'll be using. So as I mentioned, I'm going to be using this spring. I think that's probably the first thing that I'm going to pull off. This clip on the top here. It should be fairly easy to do. I think all we got to do is compress the shock a little bit, and then that piece should slide right out. The spring will just come right off the top of the shock. Yeah, that was getting a little oily. Thing's gonna handle so much better when I get done with it. Getting this installed on the new shock here should be pretty much just a reverse of the process that I just showed you. However, I think I am gonna have to move these all the way down to the bottom of the shock here. Otherwise, I'll have to really do a lot of compressing of this spring to get that retaining clip on. So this new steel shaft is gonna be going right up front here. The rest of this I should be able to reuse, no problem. Aluminum one did not hold up so well. Now you're not really supposed to reuse these nylock nuts, so what I usually do rather than actually replacing them is just loading the bolt up with Loctite. So with the shock adjustment tool from my four-wheelers toolkit, I'm gonna try to loosen these things up and slide them all the way down to the bottom of the shock so I don't have to compress my springs so much. I'm just gonna move them both down as far as they'll go. So this is gonna slip on here super easy. And this is why you would not want to adjust that down too far, because you could basically just have this flopping around and then this piece could come off. Next we'll move this to the other side, pull my bolt and bushing out here. Slide that on in. So before I slide this boot over my shock and spring, I'm going to make sure that my little retaining ring for the spring is rotated so it's in a position where it couldn't just fall out. I'm gonna kind of adjust my preload here to a point where it's gonna provide a little bit of resistance, because we don't want this retaining ring or the spring to get misaligned with the end of the dampener here while we are putting this all together. There we go. So we will put a little bit of Loctite on the bolt here. So then I'm just going to adjust the preload on this by turning these back up a bit. And that will be something that I may adjust in the field later. We'll just kind of have to use this as a starting point. I can always crank it further up. And while I'm up at the front here, I think I'm actually gonna pull these things off, or at least try to. I guess maybe there'll be some prying involved. Basically, they just sit on this little tab here, and then there's supposed to be a bit of rubber in here to isolate this from that front axle, but there's not a whole lot left. There is actually a bit of a kind of barb on the end of that, so you're trying to work around that. Yeah, I would say those did their time. How does that go? WD-40 can be harmful, but grease is usually always okay. Feel free to let me know down below in the comments if this is wrong or bad. Not recommending this. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know how good that is for the grommets, but if it makes it go on easier. So what I'm doing is kind of hooking this on first before I press this down into the slot that it goes in. There is a bit of resistance there, so rather than fight two battles at once, I'll just get the bottom first and then slide that down into place later. So next in line looks like we've got these guys here. This again is the piece that this big torsion spring end slides through. The spring should sit up here. As you can see, it worked its way all the way down here, so those are definitely overdue for a change. And to get that removed, we just got the bolt that goes through from the outside with a nut on the inside of the skid. That comes out. And that's not exactly in good shape. Apparently my spring was riding on the washer rather than this piece, so I'll probably find a replacement in the house for that. So I found myself a new washer here, and I've got the skid tipped on its side. It seems like that's a little bit easier to install it that way. Basically, you just need a washer that's not gonna fall through on this side. This washer is a little bit larger in the center than I would like, but it's all I had laying around, so we'll just give this a shot. I'm sure it'll be okay, but I would recommend getting the right size washer. This piece is gonna slide in from the back, and you know it's the back because the lettering here is gonna be on the outside of the skid. I'm gonna put a little bit of blue Loctite on the threads. Drop that on through. Old nylock nut on the back side. There we go. So a new shock here did come with new bushings and new nylock nuts, so I'll be using those. Slip this in here at the top. Shock's gonna get installed just like this, and I'm gonna put my top one in first, because at this point my springs here are still relaxed enough that when I pick up, they still drop out of the way and I can get my bolt in. So I'm fairly certain what I'm about to do here is probably not the correct procedure. However, the instructions just literally say to take this one out and put the new one in. So I guess we're kind of on our own here unless I want to buy myself a manual, and I don't. So what I'm going to do is put pressure on this section of the skid up here, pulling these bars up, lining them up with the slides, pressing them in, again pushing down on this with my weight, and then that will line up the bottom of my shock with the hole here. I've already got my new bushing in there, and in order to get the bolt through here, once this is dropped down, I'm going to pull this wheel off. Pressing my shock already. Let's slide down into place. Get my bolt. That went surprisingly well, actually. Looks like everything is falling into place. All looks pretty good. I'll just have to tighten that bolt up, get my wheel back on, tighten that up, and tighten this back up. So with everything tightened down, back in place, ready to go, there's only one more thing left to do before we throw it back in the sled, and that is the new slides. So I'm gonna flip this thing over. And it looks like these actually must have a bit of a wear mark on them. Actually, I think they've got two marks on them. One, I think I've just kind of hit. The other one, this bottom line here, you've got nothing left there. So I probably could have gotten a few more miles out of them, but I figure while we got the skid out, we might as well do it. So these should be pretty easy to remove. It's just gonna be one fastener here for the one and fastener there for the other. Looks like I can get a open-ended 7/16 in there. And if it doesn't line up to begin with, you just gotta turn your screw head on the top a bit to line it up. But then that comes out pretty easily. There we are. A little bit of grit in there. These can really only go on one way. You got the hole for the fastener up there. The back does have a bit of a taper to it. Definitely don't want these coming out, so we're gonna put some Loctite on that. Get my fastener ready here on the bottom side. So you want to get this snug so it's not rattling around, but you definitely don't want to suck it down in there so far that it splits it apart. As long as you got Loctite in there, it shouldn't be an issue. I'm going to switch that other slide out. That should be the same procedure. I'm going to get this thing back up in the air and we'll throw this thing back in. So we got that up as high as it'll go. I didn't mention anything about this in the first video, but on the Procross chassis you actually do not need to pull these bolts out. There's just a big rail that runs between them and they don't need to come out because the skid just clips onto them. So all I'll have to do really is get the track up, get the skid in, get those brackets up on top of that rail, and then line the back up with my mounting bolts here. I'm not sure what this lower point is for. Does anybody know? Is that like a different version of this sled, or why do they have that down there? That seems odd to me. I don't recall seeing anything in the manual about that being some sort of adjustment, but maybe it is. What are we hung up on here? Just everything? Whoops. Everything is lined up on the track where it's supposed to be. I'm just gonna have to pull this back so again those clips can line up with that, which seems like a long distance. I guess we'll see. Just get right in here. Oh. Okay, well, lifting it up high like this and just crawling right in underneath the tunnel apparently works good. Probably not real safe. Make sure whatever you've got holding it up there is nice and strong. So that actually went super smooth. I think those are, I was gonna say all the way on, but they're definitely not. Just hanging there by a thread. Yeah. So I think what I'm gonna do actually at this point now is drop the back of this down and just kind of let it line itself up with the bolts there. And by bolts, I mean bolt holes because I will be removing the bolts. I don't think they can fall out, but it's worth mentioning that that bolt goes through a bushing there that actually has a washer and kind of a head on the back of it. A little bit hard to show here. There we go. I've got a flat side on both sides of it, so you can get a big wrench on there when you're going to tighten this down. Nope, too far. So I got the right side pretty close lined up here, so we'll get this bolt prepped and in there. So I'm just gonna kind of grab that nut on the back side. You should go in fairly easily. You don't want to be marring the threads up on the brackets. But it looks like my grandpa's old 7/8 wrench will fit on the back side there. I'm gonna just get these good and tight. I would recommend you guys look up the torque spec and torque them down to whatever the recommended torque setting is. So now if you didn't make any sort of adjustment on the back end, which I did, I moved the wheels forward to try to help make it a little bit easier to get the skid out. I actually backed them to their original position when I put the skid back in, and it seemed like that worked fine. So if you're going to pull the skid out and your adjustment is in spec, I would not touch that at all. Probably isn't a bad thing to check once you put it all back together, but I'm not gonna check that in this video. I think I'll save that for a separate video. So we still will have to do some adjustments down there, I think, to get it to ride how I want it to. All in all, this really wasn't too big of a deal, and definitely something that you can do at home with a basic set of tools, as long as you've got a place to lift the back of the sled up. So if you guys want to see how this does out on the trail for me, if I have any issues, what I end up doing with adjustments and stuff like that, make sure you hit the Swanky Cat logo here. If you guys want to see videos when they come out every week, make sure you hit that bell after you hit the subscribe button, then it'll let you know when they come out. Other than that, guys, take care, stay safe, stay swanky, get out, enjoy this beautiful world if you can. And if you can't, check out some more videos here in the meantime.